Hi everyone, Danny here with Ground State Tarot, coming to you with a special series of readings based on the 16 personalities from the 16 personalities test. A series of readings for the Lunar New Year, honoring the Fire Horse energy for 2026. What does that entail? Well, let me tell you. The Year of the Horse, according to Google, is a rare, highly energetic, and intense 60-year cycle event in Chinese astrology that symbolizes rapid, often chaotic change, bold action, and transformation. It combines the horse's independent, free-spirited nature with the fire element's passion and volatility, favoring speed, rebellion, and innovation. So I want you to keep that in mind as I break down the energy for INTP Logicians for 2026 based on your optimal energy, your suboptimal energy, your point of stagnation, the way through, and the advice for assertive types and the advice for turbulent types. So we begin 2026 with the World card, which is a beautiful card, a very successful card, a triumphant card. It's a threshold. It's a portal. It's an ending and a beginning, but not from a negative connotation, but from a place of completion, success, graduation, stepping through to a whole new experience based on the work done and achieved in the past. This is beautiful energy. This is telling me that there's something major happening to you during this year. The World card is the final card in the major arcana. There are 22 cards. We start with the Fool, we end with the World. So the World here is telling me that you are indeed about to embark on a whole new phase, a whole new era of your life. But there's one little thing that you need to keep in mind this year as you try to activate this energy. This is also the energy of integration. This is the energy of being public, being seen, being visible, presenting yourself successfully, integrated. The point of the suboptimal energy is trying to activate this World archetypal energy in your life simply by wishing on a star, so to speak, resting on your laurels, just purely wishful thinking. There's a suboptimal energy here of believing that alignment is that you're entitled to it somehow or some way, or that it's guaranteed, or that if you just pray hard enough or wish hard enough, there is a little bit of wanting to step through said threshold, get to this graduation without necessarily having to get your feet too dirty. The point of stagnation with the Ace of Swords is telling me that this risk of wishful immobility, let's call it that, because there's a little bit of stagnation here in this suboptimal category with the Star card. The Ace of Swords is telling me that you run the risk of dipping too much into not trusting yourselves. Again, resting on your laurels, that things will work out fine without you necessarily actively participating in the completion of this project, this relationship, this endeavor. Your active participation is required to the end, to the very finish line. You're not quite there yet. You're very, very, very close. And the thing that will help you actually counterintuitively tap into this momentum and drive and focus when it's time to act is knowing when to rest. Take a time out. Take those intervals of movement and rest, so that we prevent burnout, right? But also not just external burnout, but internal burnout of not being able to trust yourself and your intuition to the very end. The Ace of Swords is just potential at the end of the day. It's a very beautiful energy. It's a very clear, also triumphant, successful energy, clarifying. But in the point of stagnation, again, it's telling me that you run the risk of almost getting to the finish line, and right as you could see the end, you just stop. You kind of give up. And the way through with the Eight of Wands, as you can see the movement, the kinetic energy embedded in this archetype, it's telling me that you, again, need to know when to pause, but to gather momentum. It's this like pulling the card back, you know, those like little remote mechanical cars that you pull back and then they like take off. That's the vibe this is giving me, okay? So the advice for the assertive types with the Queen of Swords, it's learning to be discerning without being detached. It's learning to break through this fog or this confusion that you run the risk of brushing up against. Learning to cut through that. Taking that sword once again, but internalizing its clarifying power so that your intuition remains intact. Your intellectual intelligence isn't confused or infected with static that causes you to not know when to make your move, right? So that you can make it through this portal of the world. With the Three of Wands for the turbulent types, it's learning to not necessarily hesitate. This is a card of pause and anticipation. It's learning to turn hesitation into anticipation. It's nuanced, but there's a difference. When you learn to anticipate, you learn when to pause and then pounce. Pause and pounce by staying observant and then moving as the signs give you the thumbs up, basically. And there will be many. The Eight of Wands is not just movement, but it's also information coming at you, through you, to help keep you in the space of staying in a clarifying light, having that third eye, that inner eye awakened, as opposed to blindfolded with that, again, wishful thinking that you might brush up against. So waiting for the mail from the Peanuts deck will hopefully give us a little bit more insight into this energy. And here we go. Waiting for the mail. There is nary a season, excuse me. There is nary a season where we don't find good old Charlie Brown waiting by the mailbox, whether it be for Valentine's, season's greetings, Christmas cards, or party invites. It seems as if Charlie Brown is happy to reluctantly wait for something he knows won't be coming. However, we know better than to let material, or in this case, stationary goods, define who we are. Nor do we need the approval of others when we know it comes from within ourselves. Indeed. Life is what happens when you're waiting for the mail. This is a golden reminder to not let others define who you are. After all, you've lasted the test of time and then some, Charlie Brown. So this is, again, really driving home this idea of learning to trust yourself, not needing external validation, right? Not needing anyone to shine a light on you, so to speak, to be able to trust yourself enough to know when to make moves, to not stay stagnant, waiting for the mail, right here, waiting for a miracle, hoping for a miracle without putting in the dynamic, kinetic work of actively participating in your life, knowing when to, again, pause and then pounce. So we'll go ahead and leave it there.